everyone. I see a lot of familiar faces. You guys can all sit down. Well, let me see. Can you all hear me with my mask on? I'm keeping it on irrespective, but I just wanted to see if I needed to get closer to the microphone. I want to do a couple of things before making remarks. One is, thank you for being in the wind. Thank you to the media that's going to have to deal with this. Oh, excellent. Well, the event is canceled. We don't have an executive order, and this is fantastic. I'm sorry, guys, I didn't help you chase that. A little bit of wind, given all of our renewable energy, is okay by me. But I really do appreciate that you're here and that we're outside and you're being patient and putting up with this because, as you know, we're all working hard in New Mexico to keep everybody as safe as possible. And this is the most meaningful way to have larger groups participate in shifts in policies and celebrations. So that's first. Two, I want to thank everyone who's here. I really appreciate your work in conservation and preserving New Mexico's incredible heritage of loving, caring for, and recognizing there is no future without maintaining our watersheds, our land, our forests, and doing that in a way that is responsible and will last for generations to come. And then three, I really want to thank the leadership in my cabinet. Many of you are in the audience, and I'll introduce you in a moment. And thank you, Secretary of Energy and Minerals, who needs no introduction, Sarah Cottrell-Probst, who's done amazing work, and who we're going to hear from. And then right before my remarks, I'm going to do one more introduction. You know, I met Denise Foster several times, but I really got to know her when I was in Congress. As you know, she's been leading Conservation Voters in New Mexico for nearly a decade. But long before that, she was no stranger to advocating for making sure that we're protecting our air, land, and water. And is a fearless champion for any number of investments and policies that assure that we do have a healthy, strong future. And when I announced my bid in 2018 to run for governor, one of the very first advocates who said, I want an opportunity to talk to you about policy, was Denise Foster. And she's incredible, she's fearless, but she's also on the right side of issues that continue to make New Mexico a place where people want to be, want to move to, want to engage in, want to participate in outdoor recreation. And we can, by conserving 30% by 2030 of our lands in a protected, productive way, assures an economic and safe future for every New Mexican. And I think in large part, as we work with the federal government, we can highlight our successes, and it can be a model for every single other state in the country, and I think countries all around the world. So here's what I'm doing today, and I'm going to guess you already all know, or you wouldn't be here. Today, after we hear from two remarkable speakers and leaders who I've introduced, I'm going to sign an executive order that says New Mexico will form a committee so that we meet the goals in our own way, because it'll be better than everybody else's, to do a 30 by 30 conservation plan for the state. It means that our key departments who either represent key stakeholders and or are already in the work of conservation and protecting air, land, water, soil, will be creating a plan. And usually, how many people know me well enough to know that I don't like committees, task forces, or plans? Okay, because I just want action. But if you don't have a guide, and we aren't including stakeholders, we're not going to get every opportunity we deserve in this process. So this is a group that I think has demonstrated over and over and over again they can bring people together. They can create a guiding, leading document that is action-oriented, that meets these requirements and opportunities in incredible ways. So in fact, this executive order is something I'm incredibly proud to do, I'm really excited about, and I believe that New Mexico is going to lead the country in a 30 by 30 conservation effort that really makes a difference for generations to come. So without any further ado, and actually I might get it wrong, so Trip, just bear with me. I'm going to actually ask the secretary to speak first. I think I was supposed to do it opposite, but she's sitting closer. And then Denise, I'm going to ask you to close us up before I sign the executive order. You guys can manage that, right? A little shift. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Please help me welcome Secretary Cottrell Props.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Governor. Thank you for making today possible. Our department is incredibly excited about this executive order that the Governor is signing today. I can't overstate how important this is. This is another Lujan Grisham science-driven but compassionate announcement that will move our state forward in any number of ways. It's driven by climate science, and it's driven by conservation biology. And we will, as the Governor said, do everything that we can to bring all of you and all New Mexicans who want to be part of this and want to be part of the solution together to find the solutions. I think over the last year, I've been one of the lucky ones. You know, I have had the opportunity to be in New Mexico and to spend a lot of time outside because of the pandemic in a lot of our protected national parks, natural lands. I've been in the Valle Vidal watching elk herds move across the landscape, and hummingbirds find the only orange flower in an entire sea of grassland. And we need more of that, but we also need more strategies and protections with our working lands and our agricultural community around the state. So together we're going to meet these ambitious goals that the Governor has set out for us, and I'm really looking forward to doing so. I also want to thank Laura McCarthy, our state forester, who works with me at the Energy, Minerals, and Natural Resources Department. Because Laura, along with a lot of you, is going to be doing a lot of the hard work to make this happen, and she's also been a lot of the driving force on the details of how we're going to not only craft the executive order, but get this done going forward. So thank you, Laura. Also, our general counsel, who's not here today, Dylan Fuge, has been awesome. And then there are a lot of cabinet agencies that are noted in the executive order. So the Department of Indian Affairs, Secretary Trujillo is here. Game and Fish Director Mike Sloan is here. I'm not going to recognize everybody, but the chair and vice chair of the Game Commission are also here. The Deputy Secretary of the Environment Department. All of these folks are going to be represented on the 30 by 30 committee. Axie Navas is Outdoor Recreation Division Director. She'll be on the committee, I'm sure, for the division. And then the Department of Agriculture and the state engineer will also be part of that. So it's really all of the agencies that touch this work are going to be part of it and part of creating the strategies going forward. I'm just going to add a couple of details about what's in the executive order today that the Governor talked about. We are going to be meeting at least 4 times a year, and annually we have to send a report to the Governor. And it's not just a report like, hey Gov, we met. It's going to be a report that identifies how we're doing on the 30 by 30 metrics. What are the outcomes? What are we doing? What are we going to do? And how are we going to get there? And so really that is that's how this is going to go moving forward. We're going to work on protecting water quality against degradation, ensure local economies and outdoor recreation opportunities, particularly for the underserved communities in the state. We're going to support migratory wildlife habitat and connectivity. We're going to expand outdoor access, as I mentioned. And we're going to make sure that we are doing what we can on carbon sequestration and meeting our climate change objectives. We've already passed an Energy Transition Act that helps us with the electric sector. We're adopting ambitious methane regulations for the oil and gas sector. Now this 30 by 30 initiative will help us achieve what we need to do on the natural and working lands sector of our economy. So I'm going to stop there. Thank you all so much for your help, and we really look forward to partnering with you going forward to make this a success for New Mexico. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you, Secretary Cottrell Probst. You told me 4 years ago when I first met with you that you were going to be the greenest governor in the country, and you're keeping that promise. Thank you. We all know that land and water is central to the New Mexico identity and our way of life. Our conservation ethic goes back generations. It's part of our culture. Looking forward, it's what we need to do for future generations. 80% of New Mexicans support this 30 by 30 goal, and 83% support creating new parks, monuments, and wildlife refuges. Protecting and conserving lands will expand access to the outdoors for recreation, hunting, and fishing. The state's support of locally led conservation initiatives will bring new parks, open spaces to our communities, and make it easier for all New Mexicans to get outside. The order will bolster our state's economy and create outdoor recreation jobs. Our state's outdoor recreation industry contributes $2.3 billion per year to our economy and supports over 30,000 jobs. This order also provides additional opportunities for state partnerships with private landowners that want to do more conservation work on their land. I tried to lick my paper here. It helps create jobs in rural parts of the state to help protect and restore working lands and agricultural lands. This executive order also addresses the extinction crisis by setting us on the right path to increase landscape-scale conservation and restoration efforts to connect wildlife habitats and safeguard wildlife migration corridors. Conserving lands, watersheds, and wildlife not only protects the cultural foundations of our state, but it also makes us more resilient in the face of the climate crisis. The human impacts on land and the human impact on climate are one and the same. This executive order will provide opportunities for wide-reaching, science-based policies that will help us with climate stabilization and resiliency. As we experience more frequent temperature swings and hotter and more severe wildfires, it will help us protect and restore the watersheds that we depend on for our drinking water. New Mexico is uniquely positioned to implement this conservation initiative because it builds on the Governor Lujan Grisham's climate executive order and her landmark legislation from the Energy Transition Act, the Wildlife Corridors Act, the establishment of the Outdoor Recreation Division, and the first ever Outdoor Equity Fund. This executive order further proves that our governor and her administration understand the need for environmental justice and equity in transformational statewide policies. By creating a committee representing a range of stakeholders and by respecting tribal sovereignty, we can find solutions that work for everyone. We are also so lucky to have our champions in Congress, in the New Mexico State Legislature, and Secretary Holland at the helm of the Department of Interior to help support and bring this uniquely New Mexico vision to fruition. We look forward to working with all these champions and the governor and her administration to support these locally led efforts and begin developing a plan to protect our land, waters, wildlife, and cultural heritage. Thank you. And I want to say a special thank you also to Caroline Burkle, who's been such a great partner, Secretary Cottrell Probst and her staff. Thank you so much for your leadership. And thank you, Governor Lujan Grisham.
Protecting New Mexico's lands, waters, watersheds, wildlife, and natural heritage, ensuring that we have a group of leaders and stakeholders who are going to deliver for New Mexico and the country a 30 by 30 conservation plan. And do this day, sign this executive order. It is now, almost, I got a long name. It is now done. All right, we're going to take a picture. I feel like there should be cake, but you can't put that
If you guys want to come stand behind, we'll take a picture with everybody.
Everyone have cake when you go. Oh no, this is a good idea. Oh. There you go. Here you go. Do I look tall?
Yes. Right after, isn't it?
The only answer I want. Good to see you too. Don't breathe. Oh, no problem. I need it too. Awesome. I am smiling. I'm always smiling beneath this thing. I mean, mostly. I try to pencil it on. I know. I probably need to do that.